So, essentially, last time the topic has been done. Like it's dealt with. It's over.
But not really.
Completely, actually.
Oh.
In that the question itself is absolved, removed, because the question itself is to reject religion on the basis that the person is a good, or trying to be a good person. And basically we saw that according to the actual claim of the manifestations of God and of religion itself, it's completely irrelevant whether or not you're good. It's not related, the claim itself is not related to goodness, it's related to truth. So the question that should be asked is it true or not? Because if it's true, you would have to abide by it and accept it, whether you're good or not. It's irrelevant, right? The example we gave was that of, it was a scientist, right? Someone says, this is science, these are things that are true, and you say, I'm not really interested, I'm a good person. That's kind of what bearing does that have on whether or not this is true? I think what's happening is, the reason that it's coming up this way for them, on the surface, it's the claim of religion itself is being misdefined and misunderstood as being that of something that helps you become a better person. Mm-hmm. So that's what essentially religion is. Well,
that's how most people see it.
Yeah, and if that's the point, then I can just be a good person by myself, therefore you don't need it. But obviously that's a misrepresentation of it, or a misunderstanding. It could be innocent. Mm-hmm. It could be laziness too, right? It's an easy way to just dismiss it. I don't have to investigate. Whew, just go stick with that objection, right? Because it's hard. When it becomes a truth claim, when it becomes a matter of is it true or not only is it hard, like time-wise, it requires effort, but also it's hard emotionally and egotistically, right? Because it's putting you in a position where you'd have to submit to something that's true, but you didn't think it was true before. And that's difficult to do, right? It requires a lot of strength and humility. So that's essentially it. Let's reorient the discussion from whether or not religion is good, whether or not you can be a good person, whether or not you need religion or not. It's irrelevant whether you think you need it or not. Is it true? Let's look at the truth of it. Let's look at the claim of it. Can it be validated? What are its claims? And is it justifiable? That's it. That's the question. So once you reoriented it to that topic, we've departed from this objection essentially, right? So I think this latter part will address a little bit of that, but also go into, when we actually look at it, what is goodness, right? What is knowledge? That's the question.
Oh, cool.
Watch out.
So
just throw that wherever.
So people know if it's true. Does that mean they have to follow it?
Well, if you acknowledge something to be true, is what it's asking for. Do you recognize that to be true? Whether or not you follow through with what you believe is kind of your choice, right? It's your strength or weakness or whatever it might be. That's what we're trying to discuss. We're addressing an objection, not addressing whether or not you can live up to something that you think is true. That's your own sort of up to your own abilities.
Sure, so I want to quickly go over those 7 points.
From last time? Yeah, sure.
People weren't here last time.
So Abdullah was talking about using the analogy of the matrix, with the child of the womb in the matrix, and the things it's developing in there, and all the limbs and organs and senses in preparation for this life. And in this life, therefore, it's the same developmental sort of capacities we have to obtain to be in preparation for the next life. And one of them was a good person, to be philanthropic, right? But the others were related to the claim of religion itself, right? So sanctity and radiance, spirituality, faith, assurance, the knowledge and love of God, illumination, breaths of the Holy Spirit, everlasting life. And the way it says, Abba says, this is sort of a paraphrase of it. The way we acquire such things, of these qualities, is through the knowledge of God, through the love of God, through faith, through philanthropic deeds, here's the good person part, through self-sacrifice, through severance from this world, through sanctity and holiness. And we don't have to get into what all those things mean and stuff like that, just essentially saying that this is what's required of us in this life, as far as religion's claims are concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Is that,
Yeah, just a quick review.
so let's go, this is the last section. It's kind of long, but we're basically halfway through this document. So this is knowing ultimate reality. If you don't mind, I'll start with you, and then yeah, just that, and then also the quote.
Okay. Our start out.
Sorry, it's a typo.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Our starting point. We saw that no religious book claims goodness to be its sole purpose. This is simply a misunderstanding of the nature and claim of religion. The ultimate fulfillment of man's potential is not a black and white concept only involving goodness, but is multifaceted and relates to our eternal progress throughout the worlds of God. It is not a belief of doing only what is absolutely necessary to avoid some conception of divine wrath or punishment. Rather, it is a much richer concept where we seek to develop to the highest degree all of our senses and faculties, as represented in Abdu'l-Baha's metaphor of the matrix. To perhaps show in better contrast the gasp left from this misunderstanding of the role and claim of religion in general, consider the following scenario. You have lived a life of kindness and love, and suddenly you come to a new understanding. You realize that it is actually possible that ultimate reality, the one who created you, the source of all beauty and love, has sent you a message explaining to you the nature of reality, the purpose of human life, the foundations of your own existence, and your own capacities in this world, along with nothing short of the solution to all of humanity's problems. A previously unfathomable connection with mankind and indeed the realm around you, and a closer connection with that creative force and its profound love for you, which sounds great, but on the other hand, you're already a nice person to, well, whatever. Would you honestly respond that way? Oh, am I done?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you guys, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like that's the actual claim, and then for a person to say that to the actual claim is, they wouldn't, right? No one would say that. So it's obviously clear that there's a misunderstanding of what the claim is. Bobby actually messaged me earlier. He's like, "What's the topic?" I said, "Why do I need religion if I can just be an sonographer?" Because he's an MRI guy.
Oh man.
Which is actually partly was joking, but actually partly it's true because it's related, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't think you got it though.
Oh.
I think you thought it was like a dad joke or something.
I'll send the same joke to him right now.
Oh, where was the typo?
Oh,
I have the file too. I just want.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Out. Like
yeah,
number 3A.
I think there was another typo at the end of the
Yeah, there
second
was.
paragraph.
Was there?
It was the word to.
Yeah, right there. Out starting point.
Oh no, out starting. Oh, get
And
rid of
then
the out.
here, yeah, it should be
There's-
hour.
Oh wow, got it.
And then here, right?
And 3 words to the right. There's where it says a nice person too.
Oh.
Hashem, I think.
Which sounds great, but on the other hand, you're already a nice person too.
Oh, it should be 2.
Yeah.
200.
Wait, can you highlight?
Yeah, right. That whole sentence, or that whole phrase.
Yeah.
It should be
I just see the
Apostrophe R,
yeah.
right?
apostrophe. Okay, got it.
And then TOO for the 2.
Got it. I see.
Well, some of these are hard to catch because TO technically is a correct word,
Yeah.
so it doesn't know
Yeah,
that.
grammarly.
I guess,
Grammarly?
yeah, it's a good app to have, yeah. Okay.
To further illustrate, here's another analogy. If you believed it was possible that someone had lost $1 in your house, you might look around a little, lifting a couch cushion or two, perhaps checking your pockets. However, if you believed it was actually possible that someone had lost the winning lottery ticket in your house, you would rip apart your home, tearing open every cupboard and drawer, ripping up the floorboards if necessary. The question still remains, even if you're a good person, is Baha'u'llah the supreme manifestation of God who has brought that wondrous message from the first scenario or not? If this is even possible, people should metaphorically be ripping up the floorboards to see whether or not the treasure lies underneath. In this view, being a good person or not is again largely irrelevant.
Make sense?
Yeah.
That's the emphasis that even if it's possible, which I think is what is needed to begin investigation in the first place. If you're going into it thinking, well, it's not possible, so I'm just going to find out what's wrong with it, then don't bother. Although there have been people who have done that and come out change the things. Did you want to say something? Or something? Okay.
The relative independence of knowledge and goodness. Purpose. To acknowledge that most secularists reject the being good principle as a reason to accept religion, for one's goodness has no relationship to reality, to what is true.
So it's just, well, actually, I think it explains itself. Go ahead, sir.
Imagine the following scenario. A friend of yours walks up to you and begins speaking of the beauties of physics, of chemistry, of the wonder they find in biology and sociology, the precision and profundity of mathematics, and the glory of astronomy. Afterwards, the person asks if you would like to learn about the reality of the world, humanity, and the cosmos. You smile lovingly and reply, "Why do I need all of that? I'm a good person." Religion is a revelation of spiritual realities, the nature of humanity, and an expression of the divine realms above. It proclaims to include insight into the essence of creation and an exploration of the first mind, the divine will. Therefore, when one is presented with claims such as this, would not the response, "Why can't I just be a good person," to this explanation of religion be as peculiar as the response above? Again, it is a question of truth. At the same time, often also being stated by secularists and atheists, the very fact that we believe in nonsensical things and accept unrealities as truth can hinder our progress and cause us to, even inadvertently, do things that are harmful to society. This is the argument posited against religion, and is the focus of the oft-repeated quotation of the philosopher Voltaire. Anyone who has the power to make you believe absurdities has the power to make you commit injustices. While this may very well be true, it can equally be true in the opposite direction, not only at the religionists, but also at the secularists. We can again agree that it may be damaging, generally or directly, to have views based off of falsities. In this section, we have explored the concept that the claim to be a good person, even to be someone who is good and believes in God, has little connection to whether or not what a person believes about reality, or God for that matter, is actually true. The two concepts can be completely independent. At this point, the conversation for the most part is over. The response of "I believe in God and strive to be virtuous, why do I have to believe in Baha'u'llah, Muhammad, Christ, or the Buddha?" does not address the actual claims of religion. Therefore, instead of being wrong, it is not addressing the actual claim of the world religions.
Almost seems like they're trying to avoid making such a, rude claim. I don't want to be offensive. So I'll avoid the whole truth and falsity of it and go into relativism basically and just say it's not for me.
Yeah.
Whereas that's what it's asking of you is actually of you to judge its truth and falsity. And it is for you because it's for everyone. It's just an avoidance of its truth claim and avoidance of this investigative process.
I think most people think it's like there's only one truth. It's either Muhammad, Christ, Moses, blah blah blah. There's always like this one truth that from most people I've talked with, they never think about, oh, this can all be true. So like, and that's like the Baha'i perspective.
Yeah. There are quite a variety of intentions and motivations behind this objection. Do you want to do the next one?
Yeah, sure. The knowledge of ancient beauty. First, a silly comparison that is commonly used by atheists. Okay. I could believe that the ruler of the universe is a flying spaghetti monster.
I've heard so much.
Who bestows his pasta-like grace with his noodly
Appendages.
Okay. This example is, amongst other things, extremely far from a belief in a transcendent ultimate reality, without form or attributes, who is the fountain of all love and justice. The flying spaghetti monster has little resemblance to the Buddhist Dharma? Okay. The ultimate source of law and order in the universe. For example, regardless which of these definitions is true, it's undeniable that they're shockingly different. The idea that we can be seriously wrong in our conception of reality is obvious. Humanity's inability to understand and know God unaided is a common theme in the Baha'i writings. Even more, the delusion of mankind by our own ideal fancies. Delusion of mankind. Oh, okay. Our own ideal fancies and vain images. Imagine. Oh my God, sorry. Imagining is a frequent concept. The following quotes are from Baha'u'llah. Rely upon God, thy God and the Lord of thy fathers. For the people are wandering in the path of delusion. Bereft of discernment. To see God with their own eyes, or hear his melody with their own ears. Thus have we found them, as thou also dost witness. Thus have their superstitions become veils between them and their own hearts, and kept them from the path of God, the exalted, the great. It is the duty of a Baha'i to spread the teachings of the reality of God and his manifestation to humankind. Though it may be uncomfortable, if not politically incorrect, to have a conversation with another human being about the correctness of their idea of God, the people are wandering in the path of delusion and are bereft
To be without.
Okay. Bereft of discernment. To see God with their own eyes, or hear his melody with their own ears. And we are told to educate them and bring them to recognition of their beloved. As awkward as they may be, how many would hesitate for a moment to enlighten someone if they stated smoking cigarettes and eating fatty foods are good for their health? Even more, we're a dear friend to tell you that a different race of humanity was a subhuman, or that women were inferior to men. Should we be anything but eager to demonstrate the falsity and detriment of these beliefs? What oppression is more grievous than that a soul seeking the truth and wishing to attain unto the knowledge of God should know not where to go for it and from whom to seek it? With this, let us keep in mind the following from Baha'i writings illustrate this point. Therefore, an enlightened man of wisdom should primarily speak with words as mild as milk, that the children of men, being nurtured and edified thereby, and may attain the ultimate goal of human existence, which is the station of true understanding and nobility. So far, we have seen that goodness is independent of one's understanding of either physical reality or spiritual reality. Therefore, we can be good and believe that the world is supported on the back of a turtle, or that God is a large and leprechaun-type creature. Moreover, conceptions of God can be extremely different. We might believe God is remote, an uncommunicative, and impersonal entity, or we might conceive of him as a loving parent that guides humankind. In this most recent subsection, we have seen that we are barred from knowledge of that ultimate reality, other than through the manifestations of God.
There's an interesting
Wow.
mostly was that like pretty easy to follow though. There was a usually like hardcore atheists wouldn't have this claim, actually, this objection of I'm a good person, we don't need religion, because for them it is like a truth claim, and that's actually their issue with it, because they directly go to that point. I remember there was an interview with I think it was George Stephanopoulos or something, or no, Strombolopoulos.
Yeah.
And with Richard Dawkins, and he was saying, but look at all the good and the charity, and then how much it's helping people and gives people hope and stuff like that religion has provided. He's like, it's irrelevant to whether or not if it's true or not. That's the question.
And they need
If
like
it's
physical.
false, if something that's false and you're believing in nonsense like leprechauns and space leprechauns or whatever, and you want to be a good person, that's fine, be a good person. But why do you have to? This is false. We're talking about whether it's true or not, and that's what he was saying. Is that's why I'm here. My claim is that it's false.
Yeah.
Which is a good point. That's what should be the discussion. So that's pretty.
But you can't prove if it's either true or false. Like it's more of like a hope thing.
No, I mean that's the claim. The claim is for you to investigate.
Yeah.
You might say that the standards by which your criteria of truth may be different for others. That's fine. But whether or not you're capable of investigating and figuring out if it's true or false, that's definitely there.
For my friend who's like a hardcore atheist, his main thing was like hope. And that's like the one thing that's different from everyone else is like he has strongly disbelieve in hope. Like he doesn't believe in that. Therefore he doesn't even like want to investigate to religion.
Yeah, it's.
Because it's like surrounded by hope.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a misunderstanding. I don't know what he means by hope or whether or not. But anyways, yeah, that's again, that's not really its claim, as we saw from the previous quotes, and about its knowledge about reality and spiritual realities. It's not necessarily to do with hope per se, right?
I think his was like
it's saying that these things are real.
Yeah.
These realms exist. You are this. God is this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily saying hang on to hope for these things will come true or something like that. You know what I mean? That's kind of not the main thing.
I think for him it was like, how do I know this is true? Just because this person said this, and this. Like,
well, it's a matter of investigation. You can't just say just because without investigating, saying I don't know how to figure out whether it's true or not, so I won't even investigate. It's kind of unfair, right? That's what is yet to be done by him. At least a single book. I mean, it should be to be fair, thoroughly read and investigate and research, but to not even read a single book and to make
he's
any kind of judgment, even to say whether or not you can find out whether it's based on hope or whatever. You just be silent until you actually read what it says, right? Maybe it's completely based on hope, maybe it's completely not based on hope. Who knows, right? Until you find out. That's the most important thing, to enter into with a totally clean slate and unbiased mind. So let's continue. That example I gave with that story with it's based on true or false, I think might come up later, and I apologize if it does, but just in case it wasn't, I wanted to throw it in the felt like at the right time.
Goodness as knowing and telling. In our capacity as human beings, we are secondary reflections of God. Just as the manifestations is the mirror of God, we are mirrors of the manifestation. The following is a quotation from the writings of Baha'i. Every one of them is a mirror of God, reflecting naught else but His self, His beauty, His might and glory. If ye will understand, all else besides them are to be regarded as mirrors capable of reflecting the glory of these manifestations, who are themselves the primary mirrors of the divine being, if ye be not devoid of understanding. How does this relate to the topic at hand? Why can't I just be a good person? We are looking at the concept of knowledge of the ancient beauty. Simply, in being good, we embody the names and attributes of God, and through this we come to know Him. This is one of the means whereby we know God. Consider, can we truly say we know what love is if we do not embody it? Can we truly say we do not know what justice is if we are not just? Therefore, we cannot say we truly know God unless His attributes are manifested in our deeds. Say, O brethren, let deeds not words be your adorning.
So goodness essentially being that this aspect of goodness is obviously essential. It's not just, it's irrelevant to the claim, but it's essential to its belief, to its, practice. Because through this being good, essentially what it's saying is that we are able to manifest those qualities of God in us, those divine attributes.
Being good and manifesting virtue, while beneficial to society, is itself a way we come to greater knowledge of the ancient beauty. Being good takes on an additional purpose, to know the beloved as if we have uncovered a new use for a familiar tool.
So it's not only basically that it's a nice thing to do to be good, it's fair to others. It's that you're able to know God. It's like it's such a stronger motivation to be good because of this, great capacity that it builds within you to understand your Lord.
O ye, the beloved of the one true God, pass beyond the narrow retreats of your evil and corrupt desires, and advance into the vast immensity of the realm of God, and abide ye in the meads of sanctity and of detachment, that the fragrance of your deeds may lead the whole of mankind to the ocean of God's unfading glory. Let us continue with the following quotation from the Blessed Beauty. We beseech God that He may graciously vouchsafe His grace unto all men, and enable them to attain the knowledge of Him and of themselves. By my life, whoso hath known Him shall soar into the immensity of His love, and shall be detached from the world and all that is therein. For the teachings of this day star of truth, every man will advance and develop until he attaineth the station at which he can manifest all the potential forces with which his inmost true self hath been endowed. It is for this very purpose that in every age and dispensation the prophets of God and His chosen ones have appeared amongst men, and evinced such power as is born of God, and such might as only the Eternal can reveal. The concept of the image of the divine being enshrined within us is taught by the great religions of the Lord. We are told as far back as the book of Genesis and Judaism that we are created in God's image. Islam and Christianity hold this view also. The idea that we are endowed with a Buddha culture is held within the Buddhist writings. Hinduism holds the concept that in some way our Adam, soul, is Brahman, ultimate reality. At the same time, we are told that we have two natures, two realities. One is our higher self, the other the lower. One is directed towards beauty, selflessness, knowledge, and virtue. The other has ugliness, selfishness, ignorance, and vice as its goal. As we stare into the mirror of ourselves, striving to find our true reality, we become lost in the maze of the duality of this ugliness and beauty, ignorance and knowledge, selfishness and self-sacrifice. Thus, Shori Effendi tells us, the more we search for ourselves, the less likely we are to find ourselves. And the more we search for God and to serve our fellow men, the more profoundly we will become acquainted with ourselves, and the more inwardly assured. This is one of the great spiritual laws of life.
Beautiful, huh? I like that one.
Yeah.
A lot of
There's
people
some.
talk, especially these days, we talk so much about that, about knowing yourself, finding yourself,
Yeah.
or gotta work on myself, this kind of topics. As if it's the starting point. We're going for like long haul sections each person.
Yeah, seriously. Everyone's like,
I mean, if anyone obviously has a comment or a question, just throw it in. Or if you're like tired, just say pass.
Searching the beauties of the cosmos. Purpose. To show that knowledge of ultimate reality includes the world of the sciences and unraveling the mysteries of the universe. This, once again, is beyond the pale of only being good.
So not only the knowledge of spiritual reality is what's required of us, but also the sciences as well. It's the physical world where we are to know as well. That is highly esteemed and valued, and even called the gift of God to man. Sorry, just want to hang on 1 second. I just continue. Okay.
I was going to say, it says beyond the pale of only being good. Does that mean it's more important?
No, meaning it's beyond just being good.
Okay.
And beyond the category of just being good.
The following is a quote from the Ancient Beauty, Baha'u'llah, which speaks of this theme. Know thou that every created thing is a sign of the revelation of God. Each, according to its capacity, is and will ever remain a token of the Almighty, inasmuch as He, the sovereign Lord of all, hath willed to reveal His sovereignty in the kingdom of names and attributes. Each and every created thing hath, through the act of the divine will, been made a sign of His glory. So pervasive and general is this revelation that nothing whatsoever in the whole universe can be discovered that doth not reflect His splendor. Baha'u'llah tells us, every created thing is a sign of the revelation of God, leading us to the reflections of His splendor. The virtues of humanity are many, but science is the most noble of them all. The distinction which man enjoys above and beyond the station of the animal is due to this paramount virtue. It is a bestowal of God. It is not material. It is divine. Science is an effulgence of the sun of reality, the power of investigation and discovering the verities of the universe, the means by which man finds a pathway to God.
That's true science. Want to ask or
No,
okay.
We see this so explicitly stated in the wishes of the Master for the Baha'is, as well as for Baha'i children. Ye must therefore put forth a mighty effort, striving by night and day and resting not for a moment, to acquire an abundant share of all the sciences and arts, that the divine image which shineth out from the Sun of Truth may illumine the mirror of the hearts of men. It is the longing desire of Abdu'l-Baha to see each one of you accounted as the foremost professor in the academies.
Okay.
Oh, I can't see it from here.
Do you want to read from my laptop?
That's okay. We're almost done. And in the school of inner significances, each one becoming a leader in wisdom. It is incumbent upon Baha'i children to surpass other children in the acquisition of sciences and arts, for they have been cradled in the grace of God.
It's a lot of pressure.
Straight up says.
Better get an A.
Get on it.
Oh man,
It's pretty fat.
No one's reading that paragraph.
no, I'm not reading it, but I'm thinking because I had a discussion about this last night with a friend who's Christian, and he's like, "What is the Baha'i stance on, or like, what is our take on the Ark and the story of the Ark?" And I was like, I really don't know what we like. I know we believe it to be a metaphorical basis, like it's not like an actual thing. But I mean, as far as the whole, I didn't really know. I just talked to him a little bit. I kind of like branched off of that, and because we started on that point, and then we started talking about the Bible and how Christ revealed the Bible through parables, and how there are many facets of the Bible that you have to look at it as a metaphor or as sort of like an illustration of what it's meant. So then we kind of shifted to that. But yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Yeah. So what else is there to know? To focus in for a moment specifically on the question/concern of what does it matter what I call myself, I will offer an analogy, one that will hopefully be quite usable, the story of Noah. The same one is a follower of Noah, or greater still, that there is no other path to God outside of Noah, or quite large decisions and issues to address. Maybe even too big to feel one can deal with at any given moment all at once. And this is quite reasonable in fact. Yet at the same time, Noah makes claims about what is going to be the monumental task which will soon be plaguing mankind, the flood, as well as claims the conception and means by which to fix and avoid this catastrophe, and in a sense act as the savior of mankind, the ark. Looked at in this view, it is really rather important to assess at least whether these claims are true first off, as they have very different implications on one's life. In the same vein, if the entirety of Baha'u'llah's claim seems overwhelming, whether an individual would admit that or not, let us at least address and investigate what he has to say both on the poisons and sources of suffering which plague our world, and concurrently, at least briefly, look into his prescriptions for the alleviation and abating of these ills of the world. This can be brought out of the world of theology and ethics, and very directly to a practical issue. We should also think back briefly to the analogy of the lottery ticket lost in the house. That's double the.
Yeah.
The ticket is the removal of suffering from the earth's people. How much time and effort would be enough to properly test out this claim?
Anybody want to speak?
Mercy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So is this saying that? Was that an explanation of the take on the art?
Not necessarily, but
It's just a viewpoint.
yeah, basically saying that
Yes.
that religion offers the solution to all the world's problems, right?
Pull it.
Particularly
No,
the
this
Baha'i
one,
faith
this one.
and its
No.
and in Baha'u'llah's world order, kind of looking at it in a more social sense. Baha'u'llah's world order is the golden age that the Baha'is are working towards is
not that one. I think it's the big one.
There we go.
is part of the claim essentially that what it's able to do and what it's able to solve and how it's able to do that.
Oh, okay.
So much of it, by the way, found in Shoghi Effendi's writings. So if this is possible, if this is what it's capable of doing, then we should find out, because it does matter what you call yourself at the end of the day, because you can potentially be, it being false. If it is false, then yeah, you're wasting time and still not doing anything. But if it's true, then you're potentially working towards, the salvation of all mankind and the unity of all the kindreds of the earth. That's huge, right? That's very. Anybody claiming to be wanting to be a good person would want to stand up for that.
Is there a section that goes over in the some answered questions, the first few chapters, Abdu'l-Baha goes through each prophet, and he basically says, like, how is it possible for one person to do all these things? Like, he goes and he talks about the proof of manifestations and like Christ came and he brought unity for the entire population, and like how is it possible? Yeah, and like
semantic questions is a good section, and several sections in there.
Mhm.
A lot of promulgation of universal peace. Paris talks, a little bit of Paris talks. Selections of regs at the boss. Secret to
divine civilization.
Yeah, secret to divine civilization. Also as well, not so directly, but focuses more on sort of the social principles of a harmonious society. Kind of. Yeah, so that's where it should lead to. Once this topic has been sort of agreed upon, that it's the weighing of the truth claim of the manifestation of God and investigating it, those are excellent sources too.
Because like, how can someone deny what they did, and like, how is it possible for one single human being to do what they did?
Mhm.
And like, going through each of them could be like a good way to like say,
Yeah.
this is why religion is needed. Because like, everything we know about morals and goodness comes from the teachings of Jesus, and comes from like, because Jesus was the one that taught about what is about love and like friendship. Before that, it wasn't there, right? If I'm mistaken,
I mean,
is that wrong?
To a certain extent.
To a certain extent, and then he brought a lot of that. So then, like, if a person's saying that, why can't I be good?
Right.
It's because we didn't know what good was until they came and they taught it. Right.
That point exactly is the next question. Basically,
Yeah,
what
but
is
then-
good?
Some hardcore is gonna be like, well, now we know, so why do I need to like
Why do
follow
we keep
this?
doing
Yeah.
it?
You know about Jesus? Well, be a Christian. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, stand up for what you believe in. Essentially, what we're saying. Like, if you're acknowledging something to be true, then pursue it with to the same degree to which you believe it to be true.
And that's also the principle of investigation of different, because that was that same individual I was talking to last night. He was saying that he was looking into what Jehovah's Witnesses believe, for instance, or what Hindus believe, or what like the amount of things he was telling me, that he was like, I've been investigating so many different religions, and it's fine. You found multiple truths throughout all these religions, but not one that connected them all.
That's what he said?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was his. Those were. He's like, I see these aspects, and it seems like
I thought he said he was Christian.
he's Christian, but he's investigating all these
Oh,
different
wow, okay.
religions as well. He's 14 years old. That's the best part.
Wow.
And we were having this like really deep conversation. Me and one of my friends from back home were talking with him, and he was talking about all these different investigating all these different religions. He's like, I've seen truths in all these religions, but I can't find one that brings it all together. And I was like, what?
Yeah. Where does he live?
He lives in Oregon.
Oh, in Oregon. How did you meet him?
I met him online, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. He knows about the Baha'i faith now.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hopefully he investigates.
Yeah.
So do you mind passing me one of those sweets? Sorry, I can't get out
Which
of
one?
this. The
Zubia?
yeah,
Yeah.
super sweet one. You should try the Indian ones.
Oh, it's
Ew.
way too sweet.
It's like
The
deadly
Arabic
sweet.
ones are the best.
What's that?
The Arabic ones.
Oh, really?
You like drench them.
Mm.
It's really good.
Right. Is it my turn? I'm funny. Sorry.
Take your time.
Anytime now.
Yeah, we got a couple hundred people watching this.
Yeah.
You can hear all of our chewing.
Live streaming here.
Yeah.
Actually, let me just quickly
Check who's watching.
check the stats here.
Stats, your analytics.
Okay.
Nothing.
0 views and nice.
Oh,
Yo, your last video got like 50 views so far.
Yeah.
One watching.
I honestly think you should make it public.
One watching now. Who's that? That's him.
He's the one that's.
Why?
It's just these things on YouTube is not the best.
Really?
You're gonna have like so many
Honestly,
idiots.
read any comment section for any like religious video, and then you'll see.
Well, I may not make the video public, but make the link public to your friends, I guess.
There's a
Yeah, the link. Whoever has the link will see it.
Yeah, I'm saying like put it on your personal Facebook so your friends can see.
Oh, on my Facebook.
That's still dangerous.
Is that
fine.
Is that still dangerous? Okay.
It's fine. I just mean, I don't know if anyone's willing to listen to like the sound, like this, just a screenshot. But
Yeah, that's true.
also, it's an hour long. Even within our deepening, who watched the last?
I watched half of it.
yeah, me too.
I'm not, I need to watch it.
Yeah, I'm not against that. So let's. Okay. Defining good. A point that may be better left not sharing directly is this: when a person will say, "I'm already a good person," by whose scale are we judging good? And for whatever their definition, how does it compare to what it means to be good by the standards of the Baha'i writings of being good? The first attribute of perfection is learning and the cultural attainments of the mind, and this eminent station is achieved when the individual combines in himself a thorough knowledge of those complex and transcendental realities pertaining to God, of the fundamental truths of Quranic political and religious law, of the contents of the sacred scriptures of other faiths, and of those regulations and procedures which would contribute to the progress and civilization of this distinguished country. He should, in addition, be informed as to the laws and principles, the customs, conditions, and manners, and the material and moral virtues characterizing the statecraft of other nations, and should be well versed in all the useful branches of learning of the day, and study the historical records of bygone governments and peoples. For if a learned individual has no knowledge of the sacred scriptures and the entire field of divine and natural science, of religious jurisprudence and the arts of government and the varied learning of the time and the great events of history, he might prove unequal to an emergency, and this is inconsistent with the necessary qualifications of comprehensive knowledge. This is from the Secret Divine Civilization. This country, by the way, talking about is Iran.
That was super interesting, actually. I've never heard that.
It's actually not a long book. It's like 40 or maybe 80 pages. Quite thin, and it's a letter that Akbar wrote to the Iranian people, kind of like an open letter, and it was anonymous, like not written with his name in it either.
So is this whole thing kind of explaining one of the ways we can be like a good person?
Mm-hmm. This is what would contribute to a good society. What?
Okay. Swear to God.
Okay. Are you allowed?
Again? Oh, forget it. No,
What did you want to go?
I was just looking at
Okay.
phrase. Okay, I'll read the rest.
Yeah, it's a beautiful work, actually. I guess and again, and even more directly from Abdul Baha, we read, "O Phoenix of that immortal flame kindled in the sacred tree, Baha'u'llah, may my life, my soul, my spirit be offered up as a sacrifice unto his lowly servants, hath during his last days on earth given the most emphatic promise that through the outpourings of the grace of God and the aid and assistance vouchsafed from his kingdom on high, souls will arise and holy beings appear who as stars would adorn the firmament of divine guidance, illumine the dayspring of loving kindness and bounty, manifest the signs of the unity of God, shine with the light of sanctity and purity, receive their full measure of divine inspiration, raise high the sacred torch of faith, stand firm as the rock and immovable as the mountain, and grow to become luminaries in the heavens of his revelation. Mighty channels of his grace, means for the bestowal of God's bountiful care, heralds calling forth the name of the one true God, and establishers of the world's supreme foundation." It's us. This is what we're called to. Continue, sir. These, the holy beings which shall arise in his name, shall labor ceaselessly, by day and by night, shall heed neither trials nor woe, shall suffer no respite in their efforts, shall seek no repose, shall disregard all ease and comfort, and detached and unsullied, shall consecrate every fleeting moment of their lives to the diffusion of the divine fragrance and exaltation of God's holy word. Their faces will radiate heavenly gladness, and their hearts be filled with joy. Their souls will be inspired, and their foundations stand secure. They shall scatter in the world and travel throughout all regions. They shall raise their voices in every assembly and adorn and revive every gathering. They shall speak in every tongue and interpret every hidden meaning. They shall reveal the mysteries of the kingdom and manifest unto everyone the signs of God. They shall burn brightly even as a candle in the heart of every assembly and beam forth as a star upon every horizon. The gentle breezes wafted from the garden of their hearts shall perfume and revive the souls of men, and the revelations of their mind, even as showers, will reinvigorate the peoples and nations of the world. Wow. As intense as that may sound, and also as speak on one sense could be taken as speaking generally of as a whole, collectively doing these things, meaning not necessarily that everyone is doing all these things, but that collectively all of these things are able to be achieved. On the other hand, at the same time, I think you can even look at certain individuals, certain examples in the Baha'i history that really actually fulfilled almost all, if not all, these standards, like Ruhi Khanum or Martha Root or Thomas Breakwell or Thornton Chase. You should read one of the books of Thornton Chase. My God, brings like goosebumps and tears.
But like after saying all of this, they still Baha'u'llah still wants us to be happy, and he doesn't want us
Well, this is the source of happiness.
Yeah.
This is what will bring happiness. This exertion of all this effort and being manifesting the signs of the unity of God to mankind, not resting for one moment. This is the sort of our honor, or at least that's what it's supposed to be. As opposed to happiness that comes from worldly pleasures, right? Of carnal desires and of ease and of forgetting and of letting go. Those are quite contrary. It's a redefinition of
Happiness.
fun and happiness, actually. Yeah. Because you train yourself in that way, and it becomes one brave. Just like any human being that learns to play video games over time, it becomes fun. No one is born it being instantly fun the first second that any 2-year-old plays a video game, right? It has to be trained. You adapt to its language, and then you can finally recognize and see the fun in it. Although with video games, it's extremely self-gratifying and making you spoon feeds it to you to actually atrophy your ability to independently feel those things, right?
And it's instant gratification too. It's there's no patience, or there's no.
It requires no strength from your side. It requires no exertion of your continuous exertion and strengthening of your efforts. And in reality, I don't mean just pick up video games, but I just mean in general. The current model of what it means to have fun and let go and
YOLO.
be happy, you only live once, that kind of stuff. Those words don't by themselves actually mean necessarily selfish things, right? You can say, yeah, it's true. You only do live once, but let's serve God as best we can, right? It's true. Let's take advantage of the moment and live life to the fullest. Those terms are being hijacked for hedonism, essentially, right?
Buddhism?
Hedonism. Let's say
doing stuff that makes you happy.
the belief system that the ultimate purpose of life is self-happiness, self-pleasure, essentially, pleasures of self. So even doing things for others is essentially for yourself, to make yourself feel better. That's hedonistic. Typically, like in popular culture, hedonism has kind of gotten a bad term, almost like people associate it to like
Selfless. I mean, selfish.
well, not just selfish, but they've kind of taken it to mean hedonism as like very like sort of like sexual and like very like very like lust and greedy. But it's not necessarily that graphic. It's actually just simply the pursuit of pleasure as your highest goal, which is a large percentage of the world. And again, this is the second. Yeah. And again, this highest of bars is elucidated upon. O ye cohorts of God, through the protection and help of the blessed perfection, may my life be a sacrifice to his beloved ones. You must conduct and deport yourselves in such a manner that you may stand out among other souls, distinguished by a brilliancy like unto the sun. If any one of you enters a city, he must become the center of attraction because of the sincerity, faithfulness, love, honesty, fidelity, truthfulness, and loving kindness of his disposition and nature toward all the inhabitants of the world. That the people of that city may all cry out, this person is unquestionably a Baha'i, for his manners, his behavior, his conduct, his morals, his nature, and his disposition are the attributes of the Baha'is. Until you do attain to this station, you have not fulfilled the covenant and the testament of God. For according to the irrefutable texts, he has taken from us a firm covenant that we may live and act in accord with the divine exhortations, commands, and lordly teachings. Now this is, you want to talk about good? Okay, let's talk about good. You know what I mean? Get ready to like collapse.
Conclusion. To review, we began with getting an idea of who this idea may be coming from, then proceeded to uncovering some fundamental common ground we share with them as an important first step. Next, we investigated our role in propagating this misunderstanding of religion and attempted to clarify the concept and take a broader, fuller view of what the writings say on this matter, including taking a deeper look at Abdu'l-Baha's embryo analogy. We began from there to look at, from a Baha'i point of view, what is the purpose both of religion and of our own selves. We then touched on a key point of clarification, is showing that the question itself implies that religion claims no more than to be a mechanism to try and be good, and that this is irreconcilably large and indeed false foundation. We cry out, like so many others, that religion cannot be based on superstition, but must be compatible with reason, and that one can have a very nice yet very incorrect, skewed, and even damning view of the world. We determine that knowledge of ourselves through actions, knowledge of our world around us through investigations in science, and knowledge of great realities through study and obedience to the manifestations are all fundamental facets to our faith. Along with this, that the claim is of sufficient grandeur that it warrants considerable investigation, to say the least. All this is shared with a fuller understanding of what it means to be good, as far as the Baha'i teachings are concerned, as well as remembering to stay as focused as possible when attempting to show forth as much of the splendors of the blessed beauty as we can. There's like 2 spelling errors in there.
Yeah, one of the sentences didn't make sense.
Yeah, this one was. Clarification is shown this one?
Damning.
What?
The word damning, you're supposed to spell it with an N instead of 2 N's.
Yeah.
Good job.
There.
But this one,
Yeah.
Clarification is showing.
You just have to put a comma after club, or of, or something to that degree.
we then touched.
or on the key points that.
Maybe say where the word is and then comma.
Test the key point of
So is it
clarification.
the key point of clarification, or is that clarification is showing that the question itself is applies?
Yeah, that just.
Did you write this yourself?
I should have pointed it out as I was reading. I was gonna like do it at the end, but I lost one.
Where did you get this, by the way?
That's fine. Rob wrote it.
Really?
Mhm.
Wow. It's pretty nice.
Question itself. Sorry, hang on, just let me read it 1 second. We should.
Damn, Rob.
Like, as we read the sentence.
Maybe it's just
hear
like-
Rob's voice.
I always hear Rob's voice by default.
Just comma after clarification, and then showing, then takeaway is, and then showing at the question itself.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is.
So takeaway is in comma?
Okay.
Yes. I'm not really sure.
We didn't touch on the key point of clarification, showing that the question itself, yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
implies that religion claims no more than.
Does it need a comma though? Is it just like
Yeah.
clarification showing?
I think we need to.
You could, yeah, but that helps to try and. And also remove question itself implies.
Religion claims no more than to be.
Yeah.
It's fine, yeah. No, at that point.
Maybe we put a quotation around this.
I'm gonna read it out loud again and I'll find it.
I'm trying to do this actually.
You'll highlight in yellow. What? Grammarly? What are you gonna do?
So let me just stop.